Thank you, Dr. Onder. I now recognize the ranking member of the whole committee, Mr. Raskin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ambassador DeBaca, is there anything illegal about not-for-profit spending money on a priority that a government agency or department also has? And I'll give you an example. The Gates Foundation has spent $30 billion to advance vaccines, both research and spreading vaccines around the world. USAID spent $3 billion over the last decade on that. Is that either illegal or unusual that you would have a convergence of the not-for-profit philanthropic sector with a governmental priority?
It's not illegal, and in fact, it is a best practice so that you can extend both the governmental and the philanthropic spending.
And presumably we could expect the same thing under R.F. Kennedy Jr., who opposes vaccines, he opposes vaccine research, he wants to stop vaccine programs, and presumably he's gonna, all of the same people that he just packed the advisory committee with will be getting grants to go and try to stop vaccine research. And as our colleagues constantly say, that's elections count, elections matter, and RFK Jr.'s in there. So there's not much that can be do about it. We can have a hearing lamenting it and bewailing it. I'd much rather have money going into promoting vaccine research and distribution than opposing it, but that's the difference between our two parties. Is there anything illegal about people in not-for-profits going to work in the federal government in a new administration?
No, sir.
In fact, a great example of that is this guy, Ed Martin, who was for a while the acting U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia. They were forced to withdraw his nomination when it turned out that his close friend is a neo-Nazi who dresses up like Adolf Hitler, and they just switched over to appointing him to a non-confirmable position in the Department of Justice, believe it or not, running the task force on weaponization. But in any event, he ran something called the Patriot Freedom Project, which is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization that supported January 6 defendants and their families, more than 100 criminal defendants, including people who violently assaulted our police officers, wounding them, injuring them, disfiguring them, permanently disabling them. And then he went into the government, and he's had close ties. In fact, he dismissed some of the prosecutions against these people, and they have fired lots of January 6 prosecutors. That looks like a really tight little revolving door channel, and it's not just him. In fact, they hired an actual January 6th insurrectionist who was convicted of crimes to go work for him at that same entity in the Department of Justice. As much as we might hate it, as much as we might think the American people should know about it, that the criminals in this soft-on-crime administration are taking over at the Department of Justice, it's hard to say that there's anything illegal about it, right? So if somebody goes from working at the Gates Foundation or the Open Society Institute at the State Department, is there anything illegal or criminal about that? Is there anything that should cause public alarm in the way these gentlemen are trying to stimulate it?
No, sir.
Well, in fact, is there anything illegal about the government, if it's spending funds appropriately, giving to organizations that other people disagree with? I think some of the witnesses were saying the vast majority of the people disagree with it, which of course our colleagues would answer by saying that's what elections are for. In other words, we've elected a particular government. Now I'll give you an example of that. I just looked it up. $434 million has gone in the first Trump administration, and I'm sure more will flow now, to crisis pregnancy centers, okay? Who, from our perspective, lure young people in and give them distorted or tilted information about abortion. And I'm sure that's what they say about Planned Parenthood. Okay, that's politics. People have different perspectives on things. But hundreds of millions, presumably billions of dollars are gonna go to the crisis pregnancy centers, which a lot of people think are completely objectionable. Is that illegal because some other people disagree with it?
It is not.
It's not illegal, it's not criminal. This hearing is just weird. It's just people getting up and complaining about things that happen under administration they disagree with when the administration they agree with is doing the exact same thing on a mirror image basis. But there's something that everybody here, at least I used to think, agreed with, which is let's release the Epstein files. That guy is a child sex offender who's convicted of it and then took his life before the larger trial could take place. His associate, Ms. Maxwell's in jail for 20 years. The whole country is saying, release the files. That's what Donald Trump said. That's what J.D. Vance said. That's what the Attorney General said. That's what the FBI director said. And now suddenly they want to sweep the whole thing under the rug. Why don't we have a real hearing with real government officials talking about the government and talking about a real investigation with the real problem, which is the nationwide crisis in the sexual abuse of children and human trafficking? Why don't we do that? I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.